Hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all. What's up? Yo, how y'all feeling today? How y'all feeling today? Look, I hope somebody's ready to have a good conversation today. What's up, yo? How y'all feeling? Man, listen, don't get too pumped because I'm not your host. I get the pleasure and the honor of introducing y'all to y'all host. But y'all know we couldn't do nothing and I not get on here and say what's up to y'all. Who at the top of the list? Eh, Yo, y'all let Mr. Elaborate get up there. What's up, Mr. Elaborate? How you feeling? Yo, Mr. Elaborate tour. What's good, yo? How you feeling? Hey, yo, thank y'all so much for coming to this town hall event. What's up to my Facebook people? What's up to all my YouTube people? Hey, yo, this is about to be a heated conversation, yo. Like, and a real conversation at that. And I'm so proud of the two heartbeats who are facilitating this conversation today because y'all know we got a OG, semi OG heartbeat with a fresh new pandemic heartbeat. And that's always a good look, yo. I am ready for it. I am here for it. Go get your popcorn. Go get whatever your cider is. If you got Kool-Aid or whatever it is you're drinking on, please go get that. Go get comfortable. Bring all of your thoughts, bring all of your feedback, bring everything, y'all, the good, the bad, the ugly. Yo, y'all friends, especially the ones who have had encounters with school police or even just regular police, yo, bring them in on this conversation. This not one of those things where, oh, we just going to talk and yada 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 and then that's just it. No, this is one of those conversations where we are looking to take what we get and actually do something with it. You know how change starts? Change starts in spaces just like this. You know how things get better in your city and your community? By you speaking up, by you using your voice in spaces just like this. So I'm excited, y'all. I'm excited to get this started. I'm about to introduce y'all host. Y'all ready for these people, man? I want to know why one of y'all hosts is supposed to be here, but they in the comments. I don't know what's up with that, but it is what it is. So y'all might just have to be rocking off with one host to get it started. I don't know. But y'all know my mans, y'all. Y'all know my man's all the way from East Baltimore, yo. G Channel.
What's up, people? How y'all doing today?
Man, look, your
And she
partner
is in the
Crown just
she in
got
there.
here.
She in
She
there.
from the East. She from the West. Green Mountain. Don't play with her, yo. Lenata
Hey,
activist. Yo. Look, tell them don't play with you today, yo. You on stage.
she just sitting there.
I swear. Wow.
How y'all feeling? Y'all ready to get this thing started?
Yeah.
I'm for
Yeah.
it.
Look, it's on y'all. I'm out of here. Y'all do your thing. Thank y'all so much for having this important conversation. And thank you, everybody who is here to add value to this conversation. I'll see y'all later.
All right, see you, Miss G.
All right.
All right, can
Hey,
we get
y'all.
all right, you wanna do it?
Go ahead.
All
Go
right,
ahead.
let's just get one thing straight real quick. Everybody on here, they understand the importance of what it feels like to be, you know, they basically understand the conversation about police. Everybody does. Whether you like to acknowledge it or not, whether you want to, say you got privilege or not, you understand the problem that's going on. So what I want you to do right now is just to think about that problem and put it in your school or your child's school. Do you
Yeah.
really want to be do you really want to be doing that? That's now if it's a yes, it's a yes. If it's a no, it's a no. That's what we're here for, and we're trying to figure that out. We want to know what best suits you guys. How you feel about that? I want to know, would you appreciate police being in your school or your sister's school or your little daughter if you're of age and you have a child, or your child's school. I want to know, how do you feel about that?
And also, like, do y'all really trust the police in your school? For real, like, seriously, like, think about it. Do you have these conversations and talks with your officers in your schools? Do you have a connection with your officer, your SRO in your school? And do they even attempt to even make and establish those relationships? Like, is that something that happens in your schools? And at the end, we are gonna have people come on and talk. This is a conversation, and I'm also going to present a little bit on, just the history, because not a lot of people know the history of schools and stuff. Hi, Sergeant Clyde.
Hello, Mister. We
Hello,
can.
hello.
Hi.
Good, good evening.
Good evening. All
Good
right, for
evening.
everyone that doesn't know who Mr. Sergeant Clyde is, he is the top guy when it comes down to SROs and city schools. So this is the person that we should all be looking at and establishing and talking to and letting know these issues that happens within city schools. So if y'all have questions, be sure to put them in the chat so we can ask him as well. But how are
Uh,
you doing? How are you feeling?
Also,
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'm excited to join you guys in nation. I think that it's important that we hear from you and have student led conversations. And our officers at school police are excited to hear what you have to say. Sadly, I'm driving and I'm not in a fixed position where I could sit and focus and look directly at you guys. But let's do it. Let's talk.
All
okay.
right, all right.
First thing, I do respect you because it takes a lot to put your body and your life on the line every day, just to protect your city. So I do respect you for that, and making that choice and taking that oath.
Thank you.
But what do you want to say for all the kids that are scarred emotionally or mentally because they can't trust the police because of simply that's how their house was raised? I don't know about you guys, but I got the family that if anything bad happens, the last person, if at all, you call is the police.
Yeah, so that happens a lot in our communities where we tell our young people that the police are the enemy. And in fact, I grew up in Sandtown, Winchester, West Baltimore, and when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, we had the same conversations where we were told not to trust the police and things like that. So that's a generational thing. That's a thing that some of our communities like to instill in our young people. But what we as police officers have to do is we have to change the narrative and be able to meet the young people and students where they are and have conversation and dialogue like this. And it when we do that, then we'll have more young folk that are ready to have conversations with police officers. And we have to build a bridge and break down that wall. And I think that having open conversations like these will begin to make that happen.
I completely and hello. I completely and wholeheartedly agree. And in the chat, one of my friends, Charles, said high schools with a lot of bad stuff, I mean, like really bad stuff repeatedly, should not be in schools. How do you, and this is my question, how do you guys plan on assessing a threat and fixing a situation with the lowest amount of violence possible in a high school or in a elementary school? Because there are kids that, I would say we hope that they don't happen, but there are going to be fights. There are going to be kids with anger issues and things like that. So, how do you guys plan on assessing and fixing that situation?
So we address fights as exactly what it is, where that's not necessarily a police issue. When two kids are fighting, it's our job to stop the fight. But as far as making arrests and things like that. We don't typically get into making arrests for kids fighting. Um, we think that it's important that our young people who are engaged in those kind of activities are sent to the administrator, and we allow the administrators to handle that situation. But there's a difference between the two things that other things that I'm going to talk about. One, there's a fight, and then there's an assault. Um, when we have assaults, we must take police action because we have a victim. What does that mean? When a person unwantedly attacks another person, that is against the law, and that's an assault. And we have to take some sort of action. Now, that action doesn't always result in an arrest. It can result in the information of the young person being that's accused of that being taken and forwarded to the Department of Juvenile Services, and they follow up to determine whether or not more action is needed. But it doesn't involve the officer physically putting his hands on the young person and putting handcuffs on him and taking him into custody. That's an assault, but it is against the law, and we must address it as such with the least amount of force needed to accomplish our task.
Okay, and for the people that are watching and don't know the difference, what is the difference between a high school fight or something like that and an assault?
When you have two people, I'll give you an example. Let's say James and William are in the hallway and they have a dispute about something, and they see each other, they make eye contact, they both drop their book bags, and they both raise their hands into a fighting stance. That's a fight. But if the other scenario is James and William see each other in the hallway, and William turns and walks away, and James comes up behind him and strikes him, that's an assault. So the you can see how the two scenarios are similar, but they're very different, because if in the second scenario, if William did not raise his hands in a fighting motion and prepare himself to fight, and he's then assaulted by James, that makes it a crime that James has committed, and that's the difference between the two. When you have two kids or two students that mutually agree to fight versus one that assaults the other for the purposes of trying to to injure that person.
And my question is specifically, how do you handle those officers who specifically handle it in a rough manner? What are the real consequences for those officers? Because it will be officers that will handle it in a manner that isn't appropriate.
So there's the way that you judge that is there's there's an acceptable use of force, and then there's another term that is excessive use of force. And so a police officer must at all times use the least amount of force in order to create, to handle whatever the objective is, whether it is to stop a person from injuring someone else, to take someone into custody. If you're chasing someone, you can't chase them and slam them on the ground and then start punching them. Police officers can't do that. So when you have a police officer who violates that, then complaints are made. And once the complaint is made, it goes to an investigator who will then investigate the police officer. And if they find that the police officer is wrong, they can recommend that the police officer gets charges placed against them by the state's attorney's office, and they can go to jail. So there are ways to prevent police officers who decide to go a little too far sometimes, and there's a way to stop that by just bringing it forward and reporting it to the proper supervisor of that police officer.
Right. Okay. Do you have any questions for the youth, or how we can combine these relationships and establishing relationships with a lot of officers, because of having predominantly a lot of Black schools with a lot of Black and African American students? We don't see the police as such as someone we can develop a relationship based on past experiences. How do you go about developing relationships?
So just understand this, and look, we accept whoever applies to the job as school police officers. We accept all of them and give everyone an equal chance. But in Baltimore City School Police, we're unique. We're 97% African American police department, and at least 80% of our police officers are Baltimore City residents who were educated in the Baltimore City public schools. So we have walked the same walk that everyone of you are walking now. We were students in the Baltimore City public school system. I went to Matthew Henson Elementary, I went to Lamell Middle School, and I went to Carver High School. And most of our police officers, the overwhelming majority of our police officers have walked that same path. So we can relate. And that's why we encourage our young people to develop the relationships with school police officers and have conversations, because what you're going through, we've already experienced ourselves when we were young people. And so anything that you can think of that you may face as a young person, I'm almost guaranteed one of our 100 police officers has gone through it. And if we don't know the answer, we can certainly find out for you.
All right. Jada Johnson put in the chat a question. Do police officers have any other training besides force training?
Yes. We go through mindfulness, through training for cultural competency. We go through training for de-escalation. We go through training for other than use of force. I mean, it's a list of training that we go through for our officers to always de-escalate a scenario. And I'll give you an example. As you guys grow older, you'll hear a lot about statistics and numbers. We have over 84,000 Baltimore City school students in the city school system. So to put that in perspective, you could combine the Oreo Stadium and Raven Stadium, and let's say every seat is filled with a Baltimore City school student, and those two stadiums together, Oreo Park and Raven Stadium, will be the amount of students that we have in the city schools. All right. For the last 5 years as school police, we've only arrested on average 61 students per school year. So a lot of the fear and hesitancy about school police, that we are arresting kids or assaulting kids and things like that, that's all words. It doesn't, the numbers don't lie. 61 is our average. So, and that's because we have relationships with our students. And if you don't have a relationship with your school-based officer, if you're in a high school, I think you should, he or she should attempt to reach out to you. But if they don't, reach out to them and say hi to them and develop and have that conversation with them. And we can then start to turn the tide, because I don't want our young people, especially Baltimoreans, scared to talk to our officers in school, because we're here to serve as you. We're not here to occupy you. We're not here to take you to jail. We're not here to beat you up. That's not our job. Our job is to make sure that you're safe while you're in school, and that you have a safe and secure education environment. That's our only task every day. We all know the ills that we have in Baltimore City, and we want you to be able to come to school and not focus on the outside world when you come into a Baltimore City school. We want to be able to provide that safe environment for you. So if you don't have a relationship with the city school police officer, you can walk up to him and say, "Look, I talked to Sergeant Boatwright, and he said that you should have a relationship with me, and you can use my name." And these officers should, and they will develop a relationship that you can have conversations with them, and understand. They can understand whatever you're going through, and whatever questions you have, they may be able to answer.
Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a comment from Jada Johnson that says, "How affecting is your training?" And I kind of want I want to put my own spin on that. How effective is your judging? Because there are some people who are undercover racists under a badge. And I don't know if you got, you can check a person's background, check the jobs and the things that they've done and they have, but it does not say that they hate people that are not the same skin color as them. And it won't say that because you won't know that unless you're in their mind. Racism was very big, and it still is. It's worse because it's hidden. And so I want to know, how are you guys fighting to make sure that there is justice and equality inside of your walls of the police station before we enter into a school in Baltimore City where most of the people are black?
Again, numbers don't lie. 97%. We have 100 officers. We have 3 officers of another race. Every other police officer is black and a Baltimore City resident. Grew up, lived in Baltimore. Again, these conversations that where that question comes from is more of a global aspect, and it's not necessarily unique to Baltimore City Public Schools because we don't have a racism problem. We don't have an issue where our police officers are treating anyone badly because of their race. That just doesn't happen with us. So I can't speak for the other police departments in the country as it relates to how they deal with racism, but I know that we don't have that issue within Baltimore City Public School Police.
Yeah, I definitely had that talk before with my SRO before. I definitely see a lot of racism happening within like the Midwest, the southern states. That's where it usually happens because people are, hiding under that badge and hiding under that cloak so that way they can just become these officers. But in real life, they are really the racists, the real Confederates, and all of those things. And yeah. And another question Naeem has is, but what if specific police officers are not great for that young person to have to create a relationship with because, like we had mentioned earlier, that officers can do shady things. And Baltimore is really known for a lot of undercover things and shady stuff, with a lot of things that we don't want to mention on live. So how do you think we should resolve that issue? And what do you think is effective for resolving that issue? Because I know that, a lot of officers, they grew up in Baltimore, but it's a lot of things that, that they still do that is still shady.
Well, if there's a issue or where a young person doesn't feel comfortable with having a relationship, every situation is not going to be perfect, and so if a young person, if there's a difference of opinion where the young person can't relate to that police officer that's assigned to their building, then that shouldn't preclude the officer from ever helping the person that comes to them with a problem. Um, when we talk about police relations, these are broader conversations that are outside of the scope of what I'm here to discuss as far as with the Baltimore City School Police, because the issues that come up with not being able to relate, racial issues and things like that. That's something that we don't experience. So I wouldn't be the best person to even speak on those because that's not something that is a reality for us because we don't deal with it. If we have an officer who does not gel or mesh with the student population that he's assigned, our police chief, Chief Ham, who is a Baltimore City resident himself, former Baltimore City Public School student, our chief of police doesn't mind removing people from that environment and putting someone else there that'll be a better fit. So I'm not going to say that we're a perfect police department, but we strive to be as it relates to our young folks.
All right. We have a question from Miss Sarah Flesser. Is there a plan for schools officers to more proactively develop relationships with students? Youth might have a great reason not to approach them. Seems like the responsibility should be on the adult.
Yes. So each year, the officer, when students enter the buildings, the officer should be there in the morning during intake. I know when I was assigned to a school, I was assigned to my alma mater, Carver High School. Um, and every morning when we did intake and people walked through the rotunda, which is the front door, the front entrance of Carver High School, they were met with a hello from me. They were met with a hello from the principal at the time and other administrative staff. And this was every morning. This was a consistent thing, and they got used to it. And so with sometimes we were the first person to say hello to these students as they came after catching two buses in some cases, catching the subway, encountering a bunch of adults. The first person to say hello to them that morning in some cases, not even their relatives, was the school police officer and or the administrator. So I agree with it is incumbent upon the adults to reach out to the young people. But in high schools, when I worked there, I had 1,100 students, and so from 8:20 in the morning until 9:15, I tried to engage as many students as I could at the front door. But sometimes your responsibilities as a police officer does not allow you to do that every day. But each day during lunch periods, during change of classes in the hallway, our police officers should be actively engaging and having conversations with young people as they move about.
Okay. Somebody named Kaylee Eaton Torres asked the question, what do the school officers do to be a good role model for the children?
Well, what we have a saying in school police, it was a local pastor in Baltimore who talked to us a number of years ago. And we have a saying within our department, if it ain't about relationships, it ain't about nothing. And we live by that motto. I can't tell you the exact amount of officers that fit this criteria out of the 100 officers that we have. But most of our police officers are class advisors. They are coaches for the various sports teams. They are mentors with mentor groups, and I've participated in a number of mentorship programs with some of our police officers. I know for a number of years, I coached boys and girls basketball at Carver High School, and I also coached volleyball for girls volleyball, and I coached boys baseball. I can't tell you the amount of officers that do that now, that currently do that. That is kind of our thing with Baltimore School Police. We are actively involved in our schools, and so those roles are filled each day by our police officers of mentor, coach, and given an opportunity to have positive outcomes with young people. So our guys do it on a daily basis, and it's a model that when we highlight it, it's being seen all across the state and across the country, where people see what our police officers are doing in Baltimore City schools.
Okay, another question and even a statement. One of the statements was the youth, we spend more time on our phones, computers, and other things, and all we see every day is how police hurt people, make wrong decisions, and don't handle situations right. And then the question is, if the school police officer is sitting in his office all day and not interacting with the students, how are we supposed to build a relationship with them? Also, the school administrators mostly break up all of the fights at the school. And that came from Markway Knox.
So I agree with you that with the message that is being portrayed throughout our social media, throughout our regular media, through the internet and our news media, is the negativity of or the negative things that police officers do, and unfortunately, we as a profession, as police officers, have put ourselves in that position by some of the actions of some of our police officers and we have to own that, and we have to make sure that we rid our ranks of people that decide to do that on a global level. So to answer that question, the second part of your question about if a school police officer sitting in his office all day, he's not being paid to sit in his office all day. The officer should be engaging, should be walking around and being seen. And, you know, that's a problem, and that's a problem that the supervisor of that police officer needs to address if that's occurring, and it's something that can easily be looked into, because whether you know it or not, most of our schools have surveillance cameras and things like that, so it's easy to find out, you know, if the officer is moving about the building, and if he's not, or he or she is not, then that's a problem, and that should be addressed.
Okay, so I agree with you with the relationships topic because someone in the comments named Naeem Adams, he said, I did build relationships with officers before, and especially through after school programs and such other things as JROTC. Well, those are more military, but you know, you get you. So you take it, Lenny.
So that one more time. Okay. Wait, y'all can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. I have a question of my own too.
Okay.
All right. Okay. My question specifically is, when you have encounters with students who don't have when you have encounters with students who don't have the best relationship with officers based on previous altercations, based on like pop-ups of housing, you know, they have guns, arrests, all those things going on in that community and their things. How will you teach your officers in training and now to establish better relationships with these students who are triggered and traumatized by such things?
So what we do, we routinely work on verbal de-escalation of a scenario. We intentionally have police officers go through training that will put them in the worst case scenario, from, you know, a non cooperative student to a combative student, and it's the officer's job to de-escalate that situation, and build a rapport with that young person. Now, if there's safety, the safety of the person or another young person is in jeopardy, you don't always have an opportunity to de-escalate a situation, and it requires an immediate action. And so that's the judgment of the police officer who's there. If he can see that, you know, someone's safety is going to be compromised if he doesn't take quick action, then by law he must do so. He must take that quick action. So if there's a way we can de-escalate, that is the first option and the only option. If there's a situation that requires immediate action, the officer must have to make that judgment and be able to articulate why he made that judgment.
What? Sorry, but I do not feel like that is a good thing at all. We have seen countless officers make their own judgment, and their judgment has been misleaded, wrong, and ended in causing of death. So I don't think that should be the thing. And if we do put them in schools with their ability to make their own judgment, because some people don't have that ability to make quick decisions, it's literally a mental disorder. So if we're going to put them there, I feel like that we should put them there with little to no harm weapons.
So when you talk about weapons, weapons are not. Let's break that down. Let's dig deeper into that. The police officers don't carry weapons. They carry a firearm. In most cases, they carry pepper spray. They carry batons. They carry, in some police departments, they carry tasers, which is a less than lethal option. The taser, the pepper spray, the baton, they're all less lethal options. So if you have a taser, then you have three non-lethal options available outside of, you know, using your hands and your voice to control the situation. The optics of looking at bad videos, we tend to develop a perception that every police encounter that the police officer was in some way wrong, when that could not be further from the truth. What we have to look at is why the decision was made, and in some cases, it is incumbent upon us as police officers to break that down on why we made that determination or why that officer did what he did, or and educate the public on why those decisions were made. Because to an untrained eye, it could look like the police officer is doing something wrong. However, uh, our United States, the Supreme Court of the United States gives our police officers the autonomy and the authority to make certain decisions, and that's something that we as a local police department, um, how, we have to follow the rules and regulations that's set forth by what we are what's already established. So to say that, look, a police officer shouldn't have a firearm to protect our young people, that's the wrong message. And look, I get it. There are people that have their biases, that are in positions to influence some of our young folk, and they use that every opportunity that they can to inflict their personal bias on the young folk, on the young people, young students. And I get that. I understand that. But the role of police officer is not there to hurt or harm a student. That's not the role. That's not what the police officer is there for. The police officer is there to stop someone from coming into the building, that's intending on hurting the students. And so we have to get away from and abandon the thought that our police officers are strictly there to hurt students, and that couldn't be further from the truth. And I hope that people that are in a position to influence that can be reasonable, and help and shape that message. Because other than that, we will never ever fix that gap as it relates to the disconnect between police and young people if we have adults that are inflicting their personal bias and inserting their personal opinions into these scenarios.
Can I add on?
Wait, because I knew it. Let me get it first. Let me get it first. Two. Okay, so I understand what you mean by these are, non-lethal weapons, and that's kind of what I was leaning towards, as in tasers and mace and stuff like that. Whether we like to admit it or not, if a police officer, no matter what color he is, no matter what he does or what he stands for, if he goes into a school, he will not only be there to just, police whoever might be coming into the school to hurt the students, because that's not something we see too much often. We don't see anybody coming into a school to do something or harm students that much. However, we do see students who may show up with guns and knives, and we do see students get into fights, and we do see police every day on the internet handling situations like that wrong, or mental health students. There are plenty of students who are special needs, and they can, get hurt by a police officer making his so-called judgment or quick thought. And those are all still weapons. If they were used against another person by one of a regular person instead of a police officer, they would be considered weapons. A student got stabbed at Patterson High School, and the day after, I witnessed someone getting hurt or injured or jumped, and there were cops there, and they had to help and reassure the situation. So these things, what your job description might put you there for might not be the only thing you're doing. So whether we like it or not, we're going to be policing students. You're going to be policing students at a slim degree. There are going to be students who are not doing everything they're supposed to be doing, such as crime. There are students who sell drugs in hallways of certain schools, and we say nothing. But these things have to be checked by a police officer if he's going to be in the building. Almost literally nobody is worried about a person coming in and trying to hurt a bunch of students that live almost their everyday life on a block, or not in the best, because we're not just talking about the best high schools, we're talking about the worst high schools, we're talking about the middle ground high schools, we're talking about all high schools. So there is a high school called Augusta Fells, and if you know what Augusta Fells is, it's not the best high school to be in. It's not the safest place to be in, and that thing got full patrol security. So they had to break up fights, they had to take guns from children, and they had to stop knife threats. people who actually held knives. Now, these are deadly weapons. There can be a lot worse, because there are some people who do boxing training and their hands are, registered weapons. So we have to figure out a way that even when a kid who has nothing, has no weapons, comes at a police officer to fight in that moment, how are you going to fix that situation?
So let me be clear with you, so that we are both on the same page. I hear you very clearly about the incident at Patterson. I hear you very clearly about the incident at Augusta Fells. For the last 18 years, I've worked for Baltimore City Public School Police Department. I've spent 21 years in policing in Baltimore. 43 years old. I've lived my whole life in Baltimore. I've seen a lot of stuff in this city. Had a brother murdered on North Avenue in Dukeland. My only brother was shot and killed on North and Dukeland. So I know the reality of what our young people are going through, because it has affected my family. So I don't want this to be this misconception that we are some group of guys and girls that are hired to come occupy schools in order to hurt kids. Let's lose that mindset, because we don't. That's not us. And so we have to follow the laws that are there. You mentioned drugs being sold in the hallways of a school. At one point in time, we were able to arrest people that were selling drugs. Now we can't, because the law does not allow that. The law allows us to take the drugs from them if it's packaged for sale, for distribution, and submit their name. They do not go to jail. That's why. Why is that? Because the law says that. So, and we operate within the law. So, again, I get what we see on a national level, and I get how there could be some fear. Could be here in the local. Just made the comment about you don't believe that people are coming the arrest data to show that we've arrested many adults that have jumped out of minivans, that have jumped out of cars because somebody said something to their niece, their nephew, their cousin, their daughter, their son, and they've come up there with aluminum baseball bats, with knives, with guns, with the intention on hurting a student. And if it wasn't for a Baltimore City school police officer, that day would have ended badly for the student. So maybe because there's not a lot of news coverage on that, you might not know about that, but I can tell you firsthand that I live it on a regular basis, and it's a reality for us. It's a reality for us to put ourselves in between all that's good and the bad guys that have decided to want to hurt one of our students. And so, again, Augusta Fell Savage, I've worked there. Patterson, I've worked there. In fact, if you were there when they stabbed at Patterson, you would have saw me on the scene, because we found a knife in the courtyard that was thrown out of the window. I was there. So, yeah, I did. But it's not the police officers that are perpetuating this violence in the city of Baltimore. It's not the school police officers that are perpetuating violence inside of our city schools. It's not. And so we want positive interactions and positive relationships. That is our goal and our focus. And hopefully, with your help, that we can start to achieve that.
As a person, I
Let me take Road Dog real quick.
Wait a minute.
Wait, no, you had that one. You had that one.
But
I was fair. You know how I am.
On the leash, real quick. 1 second.
No. So basically, I want to go back to that weapons thing because I was like looking at you. I was like, huh? Okay. Personally, I know the history of how police officers came about. Police officers were basically automatically given that I'm better than anyone. So why is it firearms versus weapons? Because it's no difference. It's no difference between a firearm and a weapon because they're the same thing. It's just a synonym for it. So the definition
But
still hasn't changed.
no. So the
Okay,
difference
go ahead.
is it's a tool. It's a tool. It's no different than a firefighter having a hose. Are we going to now take fire hoses from firefighters and axes from firefighters? If an axe is used in the wrong manner, it could cause someone's death, right? Would you agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So if a firearm or weapon or whatever we want to call it, if it's used in an inappropriate way, it could cause someone's death. Am I correct? It's
Yes.
no different.
Yes.
It's no different than a tool given to anyone else. The firearm, weapon, the gun that a police officer is issued should only be used in a scenario that would save the life of another person or the life of the police officer. That's it. It's not about pulling the gun out just to use it just for sport. We don't live in a world that is acceptable, and it's criminal. It's criminal, and any police officer that does that should be jailed.
Yet they aren't. That's the thing. It's like hundreds of thousands of police officers that aren't criminalized and in jail for using it as a weapon. But then I'm still kind of a little losing it off the direction, whereas though guns were specifically, like Miss Kiana has said, guns were specifically used to create and they were to kill. Though that's what guns are. They're not tools. They were meant to kill. You shoot a gun, you're killing something. Regardless. Doesn't matter.
Oh, yes. I agree. You should. I totally agree with you.
Right. Okay. Can I say you were referring to the Baltimore City Police Department as us? You are an amazing man with upstanding values, and I truly commend you for that. But you are not every person that's in the Baltimore Police Department, and everybody does not have the same values or morals, or they're not like. So things that you or might not think is legal or right, they don't have those same morals. So if I see $100 and I pick it up and give it to somebody, they'll see it and they'll take it for themselves. So you can't speak for everybody, especially when you have no idea what they truly do. Because in the workforce and you're the sergeant, we got a lot of people called butt kissers. So they make a good impression for you when you're around. Whenever they see you, they jump right into action. But there are some school police that are sitting at their desk. A person just got slammed down his neck the other week and down Mondale by a police officer. Now he's in a casket. And all he did was question the police officer on why they were attacking his brother.
Hold on. You said someone got slammed on his neck at Mondawmin last week, and now he's in a casket?
Exactly. And the thing is, that wasn't police.
Last week? Who was that? What is his name? I didn't even hear anything about a police involved in custody death.
Exactly. So you were telling me about things that weren't televised at schools that happened for you that I don't know about. Well, I'm telling you something that you don't know about. These things happen almost all the time. And just because there's no news crew, or at the moment there are no teenagers with cell phones and they're police officers that just ride away, acts like it either never happened or the police officer wasn't there at the scene. And his mother, she sadly didn't care. It's like she just doesn't know these boys anymore. There are people that, give up on their children. And when their children are out here trying to figure out a way to live, it's a lot going on. And I'm sure that you had it a certain way when you were younger. You had challenges and things you had to overcome, but we don't live in that era anymore. People can do almost anything they want, or us black people can do very little. we can barely do anything, and we get policed and we get terrorized for it. It's not fear, it's trauma. These things have been happening for years, and now that we're starting to catch a lot more light to it, because I'm be honest with you, when I was little, I had no idea why my parents didn't like the police. Even though they were on the wrong side of the law at the time, they still had a reason to fear, because if you pull somebody over, not you per se, but a white person and a black person can do the same crime. A white person can get 10 years, a black person can get 50 years to life or death. Sometimes we don't get a choice. There are a lot of things that need to be fixed in the police department. And if that wasn't true, defund the police, Black Lives Matter, and other things would not exist. We would not be pressing hard like this for situations like this. And now you guys, not you per se, but people of the police department, no matter which one it is, want to bring that into schools. And we don't want that around children. We don't want to say, because statistics, 75% of people that are killed or harassed by the police are special needs. So if a kid who cannot control a certain limb or a certain thought or a certain, part of his body says something, does something, or runs up to a police and it escalates quickly because you said that he had the right, thinking process to make a quick decision and ends up dead, that is a bad situation, look, and everything. And you are over here promoting it as a us problem. So then that look is going to go from Billy to you and Billy. It's going to be everybody. So I want you to just set the right thing, because I don't want at all anybody to come. If anybody comes to me and say, "Hey, Sergeant Clyde, he's not this and he's not that," I'm gonna look them dead in their eye, looking stupid, because I know that you're a great person and I know that you have the right morals and you do your job. But everybody else surrounded by you probably don't.
And let's also add on. Oh, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I wanna address something with you guys, just so you know, and I really appreciate this conversation, and I'm gonna treat you two and the rest of the audience as though I treated the young people that I encountered when I was a school-based officer, because there's a reality that you face on a daily basis, and it's responsible adults that are in your life that need to tell you the truth. Let me tell you the truth. When you start hearing terms like trauma being used, and you start hearing other terms, what is attached to that you may not understand right now is money, is dollars. All right? It's dollars that are attached to it. That's a bigger conversation. And I encourage you, as you continue to grow and you continue to be in situations where you're around you're around adults, have them educate you on what are they getting out of being around you. And let me tell you why. I hear trauma, and I understand that it's real. Trauma is real. What our young people experience in their communities is real. But we don't, again, in Baltimore, we don't have the opportunity and the time to be playing around with the lives of our young people, because you matter to me. You matter. Your success is important to me. So I'm not going to sit here and joke with you and waste your time and have you think that that every cop out here that you encounter is trying to take your life. That is a falsehood that you should not. I don't want you to have in your mindset. However, there are people that if you walk out of the door today for no other reason than the fact that they have the opportunity to take your life, they will try to do it. And we are missing the main thing here. Your safety is important as a young person walking the street, trying to get something to eat, trying to get home from school, trying to move about life. This is what I tell my sons. I have a 20-year-old son and I have a 15-year-old son who is a ninth grader. I have a 26-year-old daughter. These conversations I have with them. right now, your safety in Baltimore City is in jeopardy because people are playing games and hiding behind how much money they can make off of your trauma and your feeling that you as a black person are a victim. You're not a victim. Every day you wake up, you have an opportunity to be great and continue to be great. So when I say that, to say, oh, well, some people don't have nothing to look forward to because they black. Look, I'm living proof of that. 1505 Appleton Street in West Baltimore. That's where I grew up. I'm living proof of that. And my coworkers, they living proof of that. All right. You don't have to come from some great neighborhood or some great background and some great school to be to have a long and productive life. And so let's not use that conversation as the basis for developing a disdain for a profession of police officers. Yeah, I'm here to tell you, as a 21-year police vet, there are some people that wear a badge that are wrong and that are corrupt, and we're going to do everything we can to get rid of them. But that should not excuse the fact that the overwhelming majority of us are trying to do the right thing. And so if you have a situation, like you said, that young person was killed, I want to know his name. I want to know where it happened because I want to look into it. Let's pull it up. Let's get to the bottom of it. Because it's easy to say there's hundreds of this, there's thousands of people doing that. Numbers don't lie. We talked earlier about statistics. Let's pull the statistics up. Let's have those conversations. If that incident did occur, let's address it. Because I don't want for someone like you both to walk away from this conversation and feel like you didn't get enough or have enough of a conversation with me. And unfortunately, my time, I'm just pulling up where I'm supposed to be. But I want to continue this conversation with you guys and have a realistic conversation. I asked you, and I had to learn this as an older adult. Nobody told me this. The one bit of advice I was given was follow the money. So when I hear some of the talking points that you have, I know where the money is. Follow the money. That's all. I mean, this conversation may not mean anything to you right now, but in 10 years, you're going to hit me on Facebook and you're going to send me a message and say, you know what? I now see what you're talking about. All right. So let's continue this conversation. And I encourage you to reach out to me anytime, any chance you need. And I'm glad that we had this talk. I wish I could continue, but I had a 7 o'clock appointment. I kind of told the person that set this up that I was going to try to hop on for 20 minutes or so. But we've been here an hour. I wish we could talk more. But yeah, I encourage you to just keep an eye on everybody that comes into your space and understand that a person comes to your life for two things. They come into your life for a reason or for a season, and you have to determine what they're there for.
All right. Well, you kind of gave us your little jewel. Oh, so an echo. But I had more to say. I definitely have more to say because there was a little bit of bias being thrown around. It was just a little bit. I saw it being thrown. But there go Jada. That's our other heavy hitter right there. She has some stuff to say, but you are kind of leaving, so we can't really have our discussion that we kind of wanted to. You're on mute.
Let's set it up. Let's set it up to continue continue this conversation at the soonest available time.
All right. I'll
Thank you.
let Miss Joni. Yeah, thank you. I'll let Miss Joni give you my email so we can continue this talk and have another town hall about it and go full in depth. And we definitely are going to have it. So thank you so much for joining us today. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. See you.
All right, everyone. So,
Okay.
Jada, since you were in the comments and you were watching, tell me, how did you feel? How did
That
you
is
really
so
feel?
biased. Like, I'm so confused. Okay, so first, it was, oh, there's a difference between a firearm and a weapon because certain people are registered or have license to carry. But if it was a black person, no matter if you registered or not, it's still a weapon. So
Yeah.
that don't make sense. That's one. Two, all of the things that you quote unquote trained in, those don't even have nothing to do with how you should respond to a situation. If G Channel seems to be in distress and he talk about killing people, you shoot him because he black. But you was trained to de-escalate. That's one. I mean,
And
another
see,
thing. And then what's worse is that he keep talking to us like we kids. We're not kids. He keep talking about trauma. I'm like, we've seen trauma. Like, we not dumb. We not
I
3.
want,
We not
I
under
kind
the
of,
age of 15. We not stupid. He keep talking to us like we kids because we young. No. And he don't like
Right.
when we get older. There is no get older. We're older now. It's not going to change you all like we working on it. How long we going to wait? Decades, lifespans. My
But let's not
grandkids going to get shot by a police officer and
right.
I'm going to be in the ground and they're going to be with me.
But
can
let's
I,
not
We
mention
look
the
to each
fact,
other.
listen, let's not mention the fact that I was going to pull up that police report that the Department of Justice was saying that the Baltimore City is corrupt. First off, it's corrupt. I don't care how much they're trying to think that they're doing better. They're corrupt, for one. For two, let's not forget in the 80s when it was the war on drugs, y'all was not hosing black people down and doing unconsented searches. That's what I wanted to say, but Mr. G
hello?
Channel. But
But that's
listen,
not even the
let's
only thing though.
right. And that's only just the smidge of the iceberg because you still got
Yeah.
the rest of the bottom of what
And
Baltimore
then
City does.
let's get one thing straight. I wanted to let him know that there are policemen who literally, I can show you a video of an actual registered policeman who decided to say, I'm going to go kill some niggas today. There are people who have mentality like that because of generations and generations of, hey, this is how you're supposed to treat this person. This is how you're supposed to do this and do that. And that is what started racism. And you can't end that by putting them on a badge and then walking around them. You don't understand that if somebody is given a job description, they can do what they want to do until the boss is there.
But
Especially if you're, go
but
ahead.
that's the thing though. So Alda doing this project on or speech, I don't know what she doing it on, but she was getting me to help her do some research on this thing is called qualified immunity. And basically qualified immunity is if you're a police officer, say if G Channel
I
was an
heard about
officer
it.
and he shot somebody and they like, well, with qualified immunity, we gonna cover you. Like, because you're the part of the Department of Justice, you know, you're a police officer, we got you covered no matter what happens. What don't make sense is why is there such thing as qualified immunity for a police officer if you kill a civilian? You're supposed to be protecting the citizens of whatever city or state that you're a part of. There should be no such thing as qualified immunity. Because where's my qualified immunity when I retaliate on an officer because he was trying to shoot my son, my black son, or my black daughter? There is no qualified immunity anywhere else. So how do they get qualified immunity? That don't even,
Right.
and it stands up in court
I
as
get
a plea and they're covered. Easy. Off the hook. Everybody go home, go to sleep, except for that lady whose son blood still laying on the sidewalk in the city,
And
in
let's
the
not
street,
mention, since
dead.
you're talking about that, when he was bringing something up about how police officers aren't better than basically civilians. I wanted
I
to tell
can't
him
tell.
so bad.
He
And
said R or
like
aren't.
art. Wait, he talking about like when police officers don't really they get arrested and they should be brought to justice about killing black people or killing people at all. Remember we talked about Mondamin? About the officer, yeah. When he was talking about officers, who is it? He should be brought to justice. And I bring up, do you know how many hundreds of thousands of officers kill people and don't go to jail? That
And
implies that immunity, basically.
and he also said he has served on different crimes and has taken part in helping solve crimes that were not, or helping keep kids safe that were not televised, that we wouldn't know about. That thing wasn't televised and he didn't know about it. So what he don't, what I don't know, there are some things he don't know, and there are certain ways that you have to handle certain situations. Cops nowadays feel like that they're so entitled, and because of the badge they need to be respected. There are people with mental issues or self-esteem issues that decide, hey, I'm going to get my body together and I'm going to go become a cop. And when someone disrespects them because they got a better body and now they have that badge, they're going to be like, oh, you don't have the right to do that. Because some people actually think that a cop is a standard up or a better citizen than regular citizens. I wanted to snap and say, all weapons are weapons, right? Any weapon can be used lethally if driven right, or very much it can injure someone to a point of no return. If you spray mace into somebody's eyes for a long period, or if you keep doing it, they could lose their eyes. Another thing, tasers. A lady literally
I was about
supposedly
to bring that up too.
mistakes a taser for a gun, and that's something that is not possible to, like, come on, man. Like, why is that even? There are mistakes that should never be made, things that aren't even mistakes, but they jot them down as mistakes. And there are so many things that go unnoticed and unpunished, and yet you sit here and you say, we want to build relationships and this and that. Why build a relationship with someone who has literally showed me time and time again that they cannot be trusted, they will only hurt me, and at any given time they can kill someone in my family? That seemed a little toxic to me.
Then
I was ready to say that, especially because, like, he was saying, like, tools, they're tools or whatever. Not every tool or whatever they have on their belt is lethal or whatever. But I've seen somebody get hit over the head with a bat and died. Like, you could literally crack their cranium and kill them. No cap.
No, you can
Anything
really
you do, excessive force could be deadly. The baton could be deadly. The pepper spray, well, you could lose an eye maybe, but that's not completely deadly, but that's traumatizing enough. With a gun, a taser, or whatever, you could literally send somebody into cardiac arrest.
Yes.
And then with a gun,
Oh,
you
I
shoot
didn't even
them
get to
and
that
they
part.
die. Like,
I didn't get to that part. If you
that
tase
don't
somebody
even-
for they could lose nerves. They
Right.
can lose nerves in their body.
They could, live past being tasered, but then they have like this shake problem. Their nerves don't react well. One side of their body looking like they just crazy stuff. So it don't make sense where it's like, oh, well, they get the judge when no, there should be a scale that says from this to this, that's too much force. From this to this is what you should do. From this to this, add a little force. Not all that other hoo-ha stuff that y'all talking about. None of that don't matter when they get the judge. I've seen literal adults had bad judgment times because they having a bad day. Not saying that they always got bad judgment times, but just this one time, their judgment was off. And then he all like, oh, well, we biased with the disdain. No. It's repeated behavior. Parents, psychologists, doctors, humans watch behavior. If it becomes repeated, that's what you start to think is a part of their character. That's what they do. That's what they like to do. That's what they don't like to do. You see how people react. So if any officer, school police or not, continuously react negatively to young people, what's that going to make you think? Oh, right. That they don't like young people, or they don't like black people, or they don't like whoever, because you continuously react negatively. It's like having an allergic reaction to a face wash. If you keep putting a face wash on, what do you think will keep happening? Your skin will keep reacting bad, because it's not what you're supposed to use. So, defunding the police is a good idea. And switching from police officers to, I want to say, behavioral enforcers, people who are trained in counseling, but also can break up a fight and also can sit the person down and ask them, hey, why was y'all arguing? What was the problem? Somebody who actually is trained in de-escalation and de-escalation only should handle a fight, not somebody who should carry a badge. I don't have no kids, but I would feel very uncomfortable if my third grader told me that they was in class with a police officer and he shot one of the third graders. Now what? Every child in there is traumatized. Trauma starts at any age. It don't skip over you. It don't. That don't make sense.
But definitely, wait, y'all. Wait, because Lene hasn't talked, and we got to get into the survey, y'all. We got to get into the survey.
Yes, we do.
So,
and the raffle.
And the raffle too. Yes, girl.
She happy about that. She happy about that.
So, y'all go in the survey. Miss Joni's gonna drop it. I'm kind of putting that out there, so I hope she hear me. Miss Joni's gonna drop it, and it's gonna be like a heart smiles. It's gonna be like a yellow banner. I want y'all to fill that survey out. It's gonna be a live survey. Never mind. She wants us to drop our own link. So we're gonna drop our own link. Great.
Oh my
Drop the
God.
link. You go do that. Do it with one of your I'll do that. I'll do
Thank
that.
you.
That's
Thank you.
what's gonna happen. Lene's gonna do that, you know. So yeah, I'm gonna drop the link. I want y'all to fill out the survey. Y'all just put in your name, and there you go. It's gonna be a live survey. We're gonna watch it. And if you did the survey that was in our link in my bio, we're gonna do the raffle at the end. So that way we're gonna do that exactly at 7:30. Well, 7:25. Okay, so we can give y'all a little raffle. Okay, so I'm gonna do that. Greg, y'all go ahead and have your conversation while I go do that really quickly, y'all.
Okay, so we are talking about a lot of things that are wrong, and someone put in the chat, I would love to hear some solutions. This comment humbled me because I'm a solution type of dude. So one of the solutions I feel like we could definitely benefit from it concerning school police, because when we talk about police, no matter where they are or anything like that, we try to immediately put them out into the public. Concerning school police, first off, they should have no guns. Second, they should have no tasers. And Charles brought up a great thing by saying, high school students in bad schools, they do bad stuff. There are kids who have literally shot, massacred. Like you read the stories. I'm not going to say what genre or race of people do it the most, but you read the stories. And I feel like there should be some type of blend. Something should. I don't know what to say. I can't really get it in my head, but there should definitely be no guns. I would like to try to keep everybody safe.
Real quick to what Mar just put in the chat about his experience with police, saying like he had explained to them that he was being bullied, and basically the officer blocked his number and locked his office, and basically just denied Marquay of help. There should be some type of court system in schools. If I've been wronged by the police, I should be able to go to someone unbiased who does not work at the school but works like with Baltimore City Public Schools but don't work at the school to say, this happened to me and this is wrong, and that officer should be held accountable. Like, there should be something you can do about that, because it's no way that no child should come to no officer for help and you turn your back on them and then they end up dead, and then what? How you supposed to feel about that? And all
Exactly.
that, and then you
Charles.
at the funeral hugging their mother, talking about, oh, I should have helped them. Oh, you really should have, because now they dead, and that mother can't bring them back. Everybody always act like, oh, afterlife is so peaceful. It's so peaceful. It's not peaceful for the people who still have to be here, who lost their family members, who have to suffer with grief every day, because grief turns into depression. And then what does depression do to people? It eats you up terribly. And then what?
There have been more counts of
What comes
suicide.
after depression? And now suicide.
Yeah,
so
there
that's
have
2
been more.
lives for the loss of one person who could not be held accountable. That don't make sense. Excuse my bonnet.
Girl, nobody worry about it.
Yeah, we not you out here throwing facts.
Oh, I can take the bonnet off though. Don't forget.
We'll take it off,
girl.
See, listen. Y'all go ahead and fill out that survey that Miss Joni put in the chat. It's the yellow heart smiles little banner. It's the yellow heart smiles banner. Y'all go ahead and y'all fill out that, and we're gonna have a live input on it. So, Miss Joni, if you could also put it in the Facebook, if people on Facebook watching, and I want y'all to really fill it out, and I want y'all to be completely honest. To be honest, I did have a little presentation that I wanted to show y'all.
You can't respond yet until you share your screen.
What you mean?
Like, you gotta make it active. We can't respond until it's active.
Oh, Miss Joni gotta make it active. Okay, but y'all, I really wanted to show y'all and let y'all know some things that really is true. But I guess I'll kind of like speak on it in a way. So I want y'all to do your own. Y'all probably not gonna do your own research, but do it. It's really beneficial. I want y'all to search up this act from 1994 that put $9.7 billion to officers, funding them initially, and it funded the prisons. You want to know why? because of the war on drugs. Now, I want y'all to really, if y'all don't understand the war on drugs, y'all won't understand why Baltimore City was doing what they was doing. That's why I wanted y'all to connect the two, because Baltimore City, if y'all don't know, from like the 80s and 90s, when they did unconsented search and seizures, all of those stuff, they was spraying people down. That's when all of that stuff was going on, because they criminalized Black people a lot.
You might
When,
as well connect that to pipelining with schools.
yeah,
If
schools,
you,
food,
like you
place,
were
and
saying, they
pipeline.
submit names to the people, to young people who have brought drugs with
Yeah.
you know, intent to distribute. How much you want to bet that turns into biasness? The police
That's
officer know his
exactly
name.
what
He
that
know what
bill
he
was
look like.
for.
He see him. He pull him over. Now
It was
Yep.
a whole other thing. Did y'all
pipeline.
know that they
And
were?
then don't forget, you make money from putting people in jails. The more jails you
That's
fill up,
why.
the more
That's
people, the more money. So it's
yeah.
not even about trauma no more. It's about how much money y'all making off these little Black kids who y'all stealing from their families.
That's
How
why
you
they
think their
said money.
families feel?
That's why he said money. But the thing is, they actually tore down some schools. They tore down a school straight up the street. I don't know if y'all knew that there was a Guilford school up there, and they tore it down and decided to make Walter P. Carter and Guilford combine it because they're turning that into a jail. So they've been tearing down schools periodically over time and then building them into jails and then putting kids in there so that they can collect a bigger paycheck for
But what
things
about
that
I wonder why
jails?
there's so many crowded schools and why it's so disproportionate and why they're districts. And that also goes into redlining and gentrification as well, because you're moving kids into different areas and you're wondering why crime rate is going up in certain areas, and then you're wondering why this and that. It's because you're separating people from where they actually belong. And then it's a whole bunch of things that the justice system and then the community alone, not community organizers like the people, I'm talking about people that actually run it. And it's levels to a lot of things people got to understand that they do. And it's a lot of crazy things that a lot of people got to realize. You have to understand that when a lot of this stuff is happening and you don't realize it, you're also contributing to the problem. You're
Wait
not.
a minute though, cause about
I'm saying kind of, really, in a way.
no,
Go ahead.
I'm agreeing, but like this I used to think about this all the time when I was in school or whatever. And you know how they used to make us practice for like school shootings and stuff like that? And they would have the teachers and the officers walking around to make sure that my
yeah.
first, don't laugh at me, yo, because I used to think about this all the time. First of all, who would come to an empty school to shoot it up? They know when people are in school. Like, that don't make sense. That's one. And two, y'all not thinking about the teachers whose lives y'all putting in jeopardy when the school shooter comes into the school building. I mean, I understand y'all want to save the young people or whatever, but the teachers got families too, though. Like, the administrators that they be having patrolling the halls, they have families too. And then my third question is, how two officers go protect the school from a mass shooting? I'm like, those two don't equal up. So then their excuse is, oh, we should have guns in schools because mass shootings. This lady, I mean, not this lady, this guy. I was watching this little video on Instagram. This guy sat there, was with his wife, and some guy that they was talking to pulled a gun on them. This Black guy held the guy and the gun together for 12 minutes until the police showed up. No one got shot. No one ended up dead. Nobody lost their lives. So my question is, why do officers need guns to protect the school building?
Oh, can I
when,
tell you? Can I tell you?
like,
Go.
when how y'all
Can I tell you?
protect the school or the kids in the school when you could just easily use the training
Can I
that you
tell you? Let me tell you.
de-escalate.
Want me to tell you why? Because back in the 1800s, police officers that were profited self-armed themselves. That's why. They self-armed themselves in the 1700s through the 1800s. So that way, private organizations that were before police was really police, when they were modern and organized, when they did that and they self-organized themselves to have them guns and firearms and pistols and batons, then the people, the top people, governors, senators, and all of those people saw the benefits to keeping and maintaining order within the people. So
you
originally,
mean the white people being
white people
Black people, so
maintaining the Black people,
be
yes,
slaves
from riots and revolts and all of that stuff. That's exactly what it was made for. That was the reason why it was made that way. Because if you think about it, police officers were really the ones who they weren't even called police officers. They were called slave patrols. Let's get that straight. For one, they
And
was
they
called
were
slave
a part of
patrols.
the Ku Klux Klan. Like, they was Ku Klux at
Definitely
night
was.
and officers in the morning.
Definitely was. And if you really think about it, if you go all the way back from the time, think about your amendment. I forgot what amendment that was, but go back to when America was being developed and the England soldiers were still here. Why do you think that your amendment saying, I think it's the Second Amendment, where no military officers can walk in your house? That's when America started having their own soldiers. You got to think about it. I've done my research. You got to give me a minute. When America was starting to develop, the right to bear arms, like Charles said, that's when America was starting to develop, and they started seeing a lot of things going on that was happening to them. They started feeling the effects. Give me a second. They started feeling the effects of what England was doing to them. So
it wasn't even about England, though. It was deeper than that.
Let's pull up that survey.
Sorry, y'all, I had to put my bunny back on. But no, it wasn't even about sorry, my edge is not done. I can't go out like that. I can't let y'all see me. Anyway, it wasn't even about just how the African Americans was being treated, honestly. It was really because a lot of the first of all, soldiers weren't allowed to have mistresses where they were based. Like, at first, that was not allowed for you to have relations with the people you protecting, the civilians or whatever. Especially because you came over to fight. You weren't allowed to have relations with people. So that law was created so there would be no relations between people, like, who were fighting the country and people who lived in the country. And then it really, really got worse because it was like the British or the American people were going over to other countries and just kicking in their doors and taking over their lands and taking over their countries or whatever, and going in their house, taking their stuff, killing people, like, with no mercy at all, as if, this is a free-for-all. Civilians can die and the soldiers can die too. There was no difference between the two. So they created that law where it's like the military is not allowed to just come in your house without proper cause. They just not allowed to come in. So yeah, like, that was kind of why too, because it was like they was just going to people's houses and killing people, taking their heads off their necks and all that crazy stuff. Yeah.
All right. So thank you, Jada. All right. So now we're going to get into the results. Ms. Joni, let's pull up and let's see what everyone has been saying in the survey. Let's see how everyone is feeling. Let's see where everyone head is at. Ms. Joni, you can go ahead. You can pull it up so we can see. And by the way, it is live, y'all. Oh, everyone. All right, we got
word.
Yeah, that's cute. Thank y'all. All right, so for people who are feeling tired, go get some sleep, y'all. Let's go get some sleep. Right after this, I want y'all to take y'all a nice little self-care day. I want y'all to understand that a lot of this is not okay. It's not okay, but you are okay. That's what I'm trying to say. Oh, that rhymes. Okay.
Wait, look. So somebody said indigenous. That's not even how you supposed to feel in your country. But don't even worry though. Don't even worry. Give me like 20 years. I'll be like 38, 39. I could officially be president. And we gonna fix it, because you should not feel indigenous in your country. And I'm gonna make sure I change the law where so you can have more than 2 terms, because I'm trying to come back like 4 times.
Hey, okay.
I tell you, I got my on her.
So
data for president.
You know what's so crazy? How he had that whole talk about they go into school, they train, and they do all that. They do all that training just to talk to children. And how is it that 85% of everyone on here
never talk to a police or a teacher or a counselor about their experiences,
or just feeling about the police, meaning that includes interactions with them?
That's sad.
Understand that. How that work? Let me know.
He need to see these statistics
because he's using himself so as everybody. Pretty much the same thing I was saying.
Jada, that's shade. That's shade.
It is very much, but he is using himself as everybody. He feels like everything that he does, everybody that is around him does, and they don't. Everybody don't feel the same way he does, and they should, but they don't.
When you are having conversations about police or police violence at school, do adults understand the youth perspective, and do they care?
And guess what wins?
He likes statistics.
Yeah, don't he though? The
Don't
numbers.
steal my
Yeah.
shade. Go get your own shade.
I said your shade. I gave you credit. You are credited, love.
The
okay?
numbers don't lie. The numbers don't lie.
They don't care and they don't understand. 1 by 31%.
Ain't that sad?
Do you trust school police more than police such as street patrol or state troopers? Understandable. I definitely see why some people say yes, and I definitely understand why some people say no. At my school, personally, I do trust my police officer only because I've encountered her without her badge on and really encountered them, strategically outside of school buildings. And I think that's also a matter of when you see police officers outside of their badge, I think you're able to connect with them just a tad bit more, in my personal opinion, because you get to see who they really are without that armor and that gun and without all of that. But I definitely, when I see street patrols and them troopers, I don't mess with them. But when I'm in school, I can mess with them. I'm just a little bit cooler with them. But it's a little, yeah. I see where everyone stands. Should police be in schools? Okay, I want y'all to put in the comments why y'all don't think that. For the people who chose no, I want y'all to tell me why do y'all
I can tell you why.
All right, let me get my question. You gonna tell me why, all right? Tell me why y'all don't think police officers should be in schools and why y'all feel that way. Give me y'all gotta give me a good reasoning, good all of that. I mean, there is good reasoning, but tell me why do you think that? Go ahead, Jada.
I think that police should not be in schools because first, every issue that deals with a school student does not require force. It actually requires more of de-escalation and how to move forward with a better plan. So something like a counselor, because like he was saying, trauma, it's so bad and stuff like that. People react off trauma. So I feel like
who caused the trauma?
I
said, and who caused the trauma? Let's get it
them.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. So like, the reason that there should be no police is because y'all get trained in more force and how to use your gun and how to use your baton and when you should do this and when you should use it and all that. But you don't get trained well enough in de-escalation or how to mediate. Nothing like that. If y'all had more of that training and less of force training and less weapons, tools, that would not be a problem.
But because I'm still stuck on the fact that he tried to pull up the firefighters versus the police thing. Like no one says
Every
the
single
firefighters.
Firefighters.
This is why I'm mad.
Firefighters, and they was turning the water pressure up.
Hold on, this is why I'm mad. I'm just gonna say this is why I'm mad because of the simple fact that every single thing that he named was used to hurt black people in some way massively. Like I'm saying, guns massively hurt black
That's
people.
His problem. He not black.
And then fire hose. We were literally sprayed with fire hose, attacked by dogs, and hit with billy clubs and shot when we were marching for equality.
Respectfully though, and they turned the dogs loose.
Wait a minute. I'm just gonna sit here and say, like, I can't believe this. Like, this dude is over here defending people who wrong his people on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, y'all was nicer than me. I would have let him know he biased.
Hey.
I couldn't talk because of Mr. G channel because I had some things to say. I was ready.
But you was going to get real bad, Lene, and we want to keep.
I wasn't
going to be bad. It's going to be honest. You're an adult.
It's honest. It's truthful stuff. You sugarcoated it. You sugarcoated it, Greg. You sugarcoated it. You know that wasn't exactly. It's not supposed to be exactly. You're supposed to let him. You're supposed to let the person
We
know.
hold him accountable
the
for his
truth.
homeboys.
Right.
His us.
His little
'Cause
blue lives
us, that's
matter.
you.
We're supposed to let him
We got
know.
something to stand for.
We
Like,
did let him know, but
Since his
we
governor
still have to-
loves
we
him
didn't
so
let him
much.
know. He think we some
His
welcome
governor.
mats, some young
Oh
people
no.
who
We
dumb.
set the tone
Yes,
for
he
that.
do. He think we dumb. He all like when y'all get older, or maybe y'all don't know what statistics is. How old did we look, y'all? Lene's taking statistics right now. That don't make sense. He thought we were babies and we were dumb. He had to break it down to us because we don't understand. Maybe because we're a minority or we went to Augusta Fells or whatever he think. But he thought wrong. And he all like, well, when
We clearly said
when
that.
y'all
But
was coming up, you were required to have 2 parents in your household. Some of us don't even have one, let alone a home.
exactly.
Let
Let
alone
alone
you
a
may
home.
have 2 parents, but who's to say that they're really there? That is really there. Okay, someone can be there, but it hurts more
he
that they're
grew
not
up in
present.
Baltimore City too. So if you grew up in Baltimore City, how many abandons was around your way? Because I drive down Park Heights, empty. I drive down North Avenue, empty. Lanville
Drive
Street,
down Preston
empty.
Street, empty.
Empty. All these houses empty, and he wasn't. I'm pretty sure he wasn't vacant when he was younger, because he had more homeowners. That's because the police weren't killing black people at a disproportionate rate as they are now.
Now, that's what I was saying. That's what I was thinking. He all like, oh, we're not as bad now. Now, who's to say that y'all even still aren't bad?
Can I say something?
It could be even covered up right now. Y'all probably be covering up. Wait, no.
Right.
I haven't been able to talk for a long time. Remember back then when the 2 people from the Baltimore City Commission's office or whatnot came? They was talking about how they wanted to better the police system. Remember that? I don't know if y'all remember that. When Dante had got in contact with him and we was all having a conversation, they presented something in front of us. That was all sugar-coated with some flowers and little, you know why they did that? Because the Department of Justice got on their behind. In 2016, they got a report on August 10, 2016 about them. Yeah, it's a written full page, hundreds of pages about what Baltimore City has been doing wrong for the past couple of decades.
And you know what makes it worse, though? What makes it worse is that police officers, like officers in general, you know, they don't come up with no solution on how to make the city better. Like Miss Joni, she takes all her time, her nice sweet time, all her days except for 2 weeks in August when she like to leave us because she think that's a good idea called vacation, whatever. All her days working on how to better the youth so we don't have this problem. You know what officers think? You know what officers think? Because I talked to one of them. Oh, there should be organizations to focus on what happens before. When it happens after, that's what they're supposed to control. No. How about you think of better ways to put yourself out of business? Oh, you can't because that money, right? That money that everybody's so worried about that pay your bills and make sure you drive in a nice car that you worried about is the same thing everybody else worried about. And I'm pretty sure you don't want to put nobody out of business like you or the office is not y'all. The office is out of business because y'all need y'all money. But if y'all had more organizations or programs that brought opportunities to bring in more money instead of disperse the money, there would be less problems. There would be less issues if there was somebody, a middleman, to stop the incident from happening in general. If everybody in school had, if we put like 14 counselors in the school buildings, in each school building, and it was like, okay, we got 14 counselors. Each grade have a counselor, 2 counselors, maybe 3, depending on how many there is. Each grade had that many counselors, and each child got counseling. How good do you think we could do in school? If I had a counselor, I could have held a 3.5. Like, come on now. There would be no fights. Because I would go to my counselor and be like, yo, I'm fussing with Lene, yo. Well, what you fussing about? Well, we was on Instagram and da-da-da. And she would hit me with the, well, did you try to resolve it? Do you think that's a good idea? Do you think that that's going to bring you success? They would try to de-escalate the issue before it got worse.
That's what that is. That's what that is. And I got
but
one
like his money, though. That money.
Wait a minute.
Let's get into that raffle, y'all. Yeah. Let's get into that raffle. So, and she has Joni, you can air it. All right. So everyone who has filled out that raffle that was in the bio and that Miss Joni said, hit me up if you needed the link. We about to get into it now. So,
It looked like some people left some money on the table, but I ain't gonna say nothing.
Don't it though?
Definitely
Don't
left.
it though?
I ain't gonna say nothing because that's how y'all be treating my little verses. But it's okay. Like Miss Jody said, we're gonna meet up at a secret location. All the people who signed up can come.
Hello?
You all hello?
Right,
You ain't
yeah.
signed up, G Channel.
I did.
When? I'ma check.
All right, check.
Now she's saying she gonna check. Are y'all ready for the spin?
Right,
I'ma shuffle.
Wait, he
So
said
y'all-
wait.
Huh?
Spin it. We ain't waiting.
Oh yeah.
3. Let's see who won the raffle.
Gemma.
If she's on
Yeah, I
here,
hope she's on here. Not let me fill it out. Charles, you too late.
Marcus,
How many times
you
y'all
said
gonna be
my name
spinning it?
once.
Yeah, once. Gemma won.
Gemma won.
Yeah,
She's on here.
she won.
Did Dante say I'm frozen? And Marcus
you're not.
Bentley, you didn't fill it out.
Yeah, you didn't. Where's my name? You need you. It doesn't. Okay, let me set one thing straight real quick. Just because you showed up here today, don't
Wait,
mean
why my name on there twice and I still ain't win?
It is?
I don't know. Gemma, are you on here? I need you to speak to yourself present. Just like make yourself know.
If you ain't on, girl, you getting left. Up.
Now
You
she's getting left. Do we
No,
gotta
you gotta
respin
be,
it? If
how you gonna come to an event? How you gonna sign up about an event and don't come?
Easy.
Do we have to respin it if she's not on? I hope not.
Dag, G Channel, you wanna get away?
I hope not. I don't know. I look the way Lene said what she said. I was so bad. All right, I'm gonna text her.
Miss Joni,
She got 30. She got. Oh, Miss Joni said, "Can't win if you ain't here."
Can't win if you're not here.
Let's
Come on,
go.
Gemma, we're gonna give you about. Yeah.
She ain't on here. Ain't no point.
Next caller.
She definitely know. Is Nati on here?
Not Tiara. Whoever.
Make sure you're removing the names so everybody.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna remove.
Not Tiara.
She's not on here.
You're not here.
Let me remove Gemma name real quick because she's not on here either.
Dang, y'all crazy. I could never. My name
Go to another spin.
Who got it?
Anaya.
Anaya?
Oh, here. I think I seen her. She on here. I think I seen her.
She won the $50 raffle.
Come on, comment your name. Oh yeah, okay. Is that her?
Comment your name. You can do it, girl.
Come on, Nye. Come on, don't tell me you snuck off for a second to get a snack and then lost the money, honey. Don't do that. She on here. We'll tell her name. She gotta put it. We gotta know she's still here, not just that she popped in once or twice. Everybody on here like, yeah, but ain't nobody win nothing yet. You still gotta comment your name. Uh-oh.
Miss Joni.
Uh-oh.
About to say some next caller. Ooh.
Next caller.
Naya, where you at, girl?
Hey. 10 seconds. 10. Oh, I thought that
was Miss Tiffany.
It wasn't even her. Dang.
5.
That's it. You gotta spend it again. Dang, that's sad. Y'all just out here throwing $50 in the trash can.
It might as well stop on my name and give me my $50.
Period.
SD.
Period.
Oh my God. Oh
well,
my God.
That's
Wait.
Wait, Anaya, she gonna type so late. Who texted?
I don't know what to do now. Because maybe she stepped away from her. Oh, Miss Joni
said she missed it. So
do we put this in our hands?
So Jada won the $50 raffle.
That's crazy. And she sat there and claimed it and everything.
She claimed it before
manifestation. That's what you call manifesting your wants. You see that?
She won. Look, I took her $30. She taking. I took her $50 on her little verses. She taking my 50 on my thing. So we all right. Come on, what the fit? What we out here just passing money back and forth.
Speaking of that G channel, I know you ain't signed up because there is no picture of you in my phone.
What?
Yes, when everybody signed up, they had to put a picture. I saved all the pictures, so when Miss Joni hit me about my pictures was set for the flyer. There is no picture of you in my phone because my Google is connected to my Google Photos.
That's
Google
amazing.
Photos is connected to my photos. So you need to
But
go for that versus battle.
All right. Since we promoting, I want everybody before y'all leave to make sure y'all tune into the Mayor's Youth Summit Town Hall. All of that juicy, good stuff that we're going to be talking about. That's everything that's going to be going on May 22nd. I believe that is a Saturday from 12 to 2:30 p.m. And let's also talk about May 18th, another town hall series with the youth and Heart Smiles. We are not okay. And we're going to talk, the people are, other people, not me. Going to be talking about how they're doing during the pandemic. Okay? Mm-hmm. Make sure y'all tune in. That is going to be on May 18th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. That is next Tuesday, I believe. Yes, that is next Tuesday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. And make sure y'all come and y'all show out at the Mayor's Town Hall Summit, okay? For the youth.
It's for us. And I thank you guys for all showing up here, your time, for watching this. All of that is very much valued and appreciated. So don't think it doesn't go unnoticed. I thank you so much for that. And this event was great if you like to work more around school police accountability. Okay, thank you for the shout out. Thank you, sir. Because yes, we definitely did put some work into this, okay? And we went overtime, so we definitely gonna have to talk to y'all about something, later on.
And we definitely gonna do a part 2, y'all. Part 2 gonna come soon.
Hello?
And we gonna no, because I'm gonna get him back on here, and then we also I'm gonna get in contact with Mr. Russell. Mr. Russell, he used to work in the police department. I had a little talk with him before about police officers within the city. So we get to see what it's like from a chief of police perspective, former chief police perspective. So we'll see.
It's a lot of shade up there.
All right. But thank y'all.
No more shade. But make sure y'all hit that link that I just dropped in the chat for the event next Saturday, like Lene said, from 12 to 2:30. Yes. Some of these faces you see right now might be the facilitators in them breakout sessions, so you better get up there.
Yes, come and show up and show out.
If you come and you got something good to say, make sure you enact with us, talk with us, all that. And if it's good enough, you got a plan behind it, we might can get you up with Brandon.
We might.
You might be like,
might get you talking to Mr. Scott.
All right, so thank y'all for coming out. We totally appreciate it. And thank you, Jada, for coming and showing out as usual, being our heavy hitter. As
y'all know the vibes.
Yeah.
Thank you for my $50 and I'll be back.
I'm sick of her. Get her off now.
It's okay.
It's not my fault. Manifestation. You heard me.
She'll be back
to the world, and then what?
What was it? About 2 people's trash was 1 girl's treasure. You better come on.
Literally.
All right, y'all. Look, we
all right,
Miss Johnny. More shade.
You can come back on.
Officer. And yeah, we gonna get it right. I'm out. Right. Bye, y'all. Wait, Miss Johnny, what you got to say? Cause I see you.
You're on mute.
We can't hear you.
Can't hear you. Can't hear you. You're on mute.
Yo.
Okay, there we go.
I was going off like, yo, we over time. All this, it's time to go. But no, seriously, thank y'all for a great conversation. Like, I really appreciate it. Like, this was a really cool and much needed conversation. I can't wait for part 2. Y'all did a great job.
I have a question, Ms. Johnny. What was your take on his biased responses to us young people?
She texted us.
Bye. I ain't do nothing. Bye. I don't know what they talking about, yo.
You didn't even answer my question, though. Forget what Lene talk about.
Yo, we over time. I don't have time to even talk about that. Like, all I'm gonna say is,
it's the people
That's
who do it
it.
for
The
the money and
silence
not
was
for the
loud
youth.
enough. The
You
Thank
silence
you.
was loud.
It's the people who do it for the money and not for the
Thank
youth.
you.
But it's cool,
Thank
we know.
you. Thank you. Look, I'm in my own lane. You know what I'm saying? Like, and regardless of what's going on, like you gotta acknowledge why people feel a certain type of way. And I would have just loved to hear more about that. But my feelings don't matter. It's y'all feelings. So I'm glad
No,
that
no, no, no,
y'all
no.
got what y'all
Your
needed to
feelings
get out.
matter. You
Nah,
represent us.
this ain't about me. No, I know y'all represent yourself.
You
We're
know,
young,
Heart
too.
Smiles as a youth
Nah.
organizer, a youth organization. You the front line for us.
Nah, y'all represent
Because
yourself.
you
Y'all
send the
do it-
ripple back, and you know we
and y'all
coming.
do it very well.
All I gotta
Sorry, we
say
can't hear
is
you.
I had more things to say. And Greg, I wish you would have let me talk. I should never told you that I can't talk because now I was really upset that the fact that I had some real eager information to tell him and I couldn't tell him. And y'all know I would have really got in his
I love
booty.
y'all, but I'm leaving.
All right, have a nice day. And
got
thank
something
you,
to do
Miss
real
Joni. Thank you.
Thank y'all for a great conversation. I'll see y'all later.
All right, see you. Bye.
Bye, y'all. Man, y'all already know what it is, y'all. I'm excited about these town halls. They are a series, y'all. So if you like this is not the last one. We got more coming, and we're going to have more jumping all throughout the summer. So, like, yo, if you are a young person and if you got something to talk about, if you want to do a town hall around it, yo, hit us up. This is where we can have those conversations. This is where we can have those hard conversations. This is where things that you want to talk about, yo, we talking about it right here. So just like they said, we got other conversations lined up. Next week, same time, same place. Gemma and James going to be on here talking about the pandemic, all things COVID, vaccine, and all that. The title is We Are Not Okay. And they're going to be talking all the stuff around COVID and the pandemic. So be here. And then 2 weeks after that, we got Kaya and Jordy. They talking about domestic violence. Yeah, I know. Why young people even in situations like that? But look, they talking about it. So this is going to be some serious conversations, y'all, happening. So if you trying to get on, let us know. We going to get that thing set up. But y'all already know what I'm about to say. Go be productive. Go be productive, yo. You got at least about 2 more working hours in the day. Go do something that's connected to your goals. Go do something that's connected to your version of success. If whatever you about to do when you get off this live, if it's not connected to your goals, don't do it. This is where your discipline has to kick in. This is where you really got to hunker yourself down and take control of your attention and say, no, I'm not about to go play the game. No, I'm not about to go do nothing stupid. I'm about to do something that's connected to my goals. I'm about to do something that's connected to my version of success. And like, yo, if you ain't got no goals, man, how my man Big 16 said, yo, if you ain't got no goals, that's a bigger problem. And we really need to talk, like, for real. That's a major problem if you ain't got no goals. That's where you need to start. Soon as you get off of here, you need to be productive and go make you some goals. And don't be intimidated by the big ones, y'all. Start off with the small ones. All right. But y'all know where to find me. What we doing tomorrow, y'all? Winning Wednesday. I see y'all tomorrow. Winning Wednesday. Tizzy Tay, you already know I got you, shorty. I'll see y'all tomorrow, yo. I'm out of here.